Stevens, District Ranger on the Western Divide Ranger District of the Sequoia National Forest. And we are at the Trail of 100 Giants. And the tree I just emerged from is the same tree where President Bill Clinton signed the proclamation creating the Giant Sequoia National Monument.
Hi, my name is Ann Thomas, and I'm here in the Giant Sequoia National Monument at Trail of 100 Giants. Behind me you'll see a large giant sequoia. We call these monarchs. And this tree could be anywhere from 15 to 1700 years old. We don't always know the age of these trees. It's kind of a hard thing to calculate.
Hi, I'm Brad Dunlap with the City of Porterville. We're here in the Sequoia National Monument. Porterville is the gateway to this area, leading up here into this pristine forest that hosts a number of giant redwood groves. We're here at the Trail of 100 Giants, and these are Tulare County skyscrapers. They are massive trees. We have a mix of all sorts of wildlife and plant life. The giant redwoods provide a backdrop for activities in the National Monument that create a surreal situation. They're so massive, and we're so accustomed to large trees that are dwarfed in size by these massive trees that they're really something to view.
Hi, I'm Nancy Pengelly, and I am a docent on the Trail of 100 Giants here in the Sequoia National Forest. This is an incense cedar, and it generates lots of questions like, look at this gorgeous shape. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a piece of art. If you notice here, it looks like something probably knocked it over, and because the tree is always reaching for sunlight, it starts up again, and then something hits it again, and then it knocks over and it's starting again. So it's always reaching for the sky. Now, people often confuse the incense cedar and the giant sequoias because of the reddish bark. But you will see later on that it's very different. When you feel this, it's very hard, tough. This is the giant sequoia's bark. And you notice it's very soft and squishy. And it's very fibrous because it's full of water, and it will get up to 2 feet thick on the older trees at the base of the tree. And all the energy goes up through the bark to these trees. And if you look close, you can see the layers as this bark is moving in. Now right in here we have an opening. Through the next few hundred years, if we're still here, this opening will totally close because the bark will have moved in to protect the wound. Right here I have a sugar pine cone. You notice how large it is. They get up to 18 to 24 inches long, whereas a giant sequoia cone is just a tiny cone, roughly 2 or 3 inches long. And if any luck here, look at the comparison. The giant sequoia cone and the sugar pine cone. Massive different size in trees. This is an example of the root system of a giant sequoia. They actually only go into the ground approximately 6 to 8 feet because underneath this surface is solid granite and they can't penetrate the granite. And notice too that when this tree fell, the roots is probably right up here next to the walk. Now wait a minute, that can't be possible because here we have this huge sugar pine. And look how large it is. So in essence, this tree probably fell down around the early 1800s or 1750s because this tree could possibly be up to 300 years old. So you can just see how much time has spanned. This was not even conceived when that fell and how huge it was when it fell.
So if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a noise? Well, on September 30th, 2011, 2 foreign tourists visiting from Europe found that answer, and they found it out big time. Next to me are 2 sequoias that are joined together that are approximately 175 feet in length and are believed to be about 1,500 years old. They grew together, and for reasons that we haven't figured out yet, they fell over on September 30th, 2011. When the tourists were here, they heard a loud pop, pop, pop. And what that was the roots breaking away from each other as this tree went over. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but the noise and the mess and the debris was just amazing. In
2011, we had a fire here, which we named the Giant Fire. And it was caused by a stray bullet, probably ricocheting off of a rock and igniting some dry tinder. This is a baby giant sequoia that was planted by Wild Places in Springville, California. And if you'll notice the basin around the tree, that's put there to collect all the water and keep the moisture in the ground, so this tree will thrive. And the whole thought process being that in another 1,000 years, when some of the other trees have disappeared, we will have a whole new giant sequoia forest right here.
Okay, so what you see behind me is the result of the Giant Fire in 2011. And a lot of people come on this trail and all they see is black burned trees and they think something bad happened. But in reality, what happened is basically what happens in nature. What you'll see is a lot of these trees, the smaller ones, burned up, and they'll eventually fall down, creating openings and spaces for other trees like the giant sequoias to be able to reproduce. The other thing about a fire that's really helpful is that it also brings the nutrients back into the soil so that then you can grow the additional trees. So when you have a dead stand like this, what happens is that you have trees that are called shade-tolerant trees and trees that are called shade-intolerant. Giant sequoias are shade-intolerant. When they're growing from seedlings, they need a lot of sunlight. What you see behind me are a lot of the firs and the incense cedars, and they're what's called shade-tolerant trees, so they don't need nearly the amount of sunlight that a sequoia does. So what happens in a situation like this is that those shade-tolerant trees have a tendency to grow quickly, create shade, so that more shade-tolerant trees can grow. So what you end up with is you end up with a very thick stand of fir and incense cedar.
This appears to be a very healthy forest behind me. You see a continuous stream of green from ground clear to the crest of the giant sequoia above me. But in reality, this healthy green appearance is what threatens the health of the giants themselves. What we have here is continuous fuel in the event of a wildfire. It would be possible for a fire to start here at ground level, sweep up through these trees and into the limbs of the giant sequoia and actually burn at a high enough intensity to kill it. A lot of people think that this is how the forest should look. The Forest Service believes that because we've suppressed fire for 100 years, we've created a situation where these fuels are too thick, too continuous, and we need to try to do something about that. What we should be doing is thinning these out selectively in order to protect the larger giant trees. And it's not just about the sequoias. To my left you can see a giant patriarchal ponderosa pine, which is every bit as valuable to us as the giant sequoia behind me. It's as much a part of this old forest as the sequoias themselves, and it's also threatened by this continuous layer of fuels.
Here I am in this gorgeous meadow. It's filled with black-eyed Susans and skunk cabbage and who knows what else. And I'm standing amongst all these bees that are pollinating and spreading the pollen to eat other flowers. This is the stalk of the skunk cabbage. You'll notice the flowers. They're beautiful. They're quite high, just like the corn you see in the cornfields where we get the corn that we eat. But unlike that, this is poisonous. Now some animals, some bees will eat it and not be affected, where others will die. The sheep will come through here, and if they eat the leaves, their offspring will be deformed. But there's a current study going on in Utah where they have found that possibly the root of this particular plant might have the cure for some types of cancer. Now, it's swallowtail butterflies love this. Sometimes they'll just be clustered with 10, 20 of them at one time. And it's the most beautiful sight because it waves in the wind and the butterflies just hang on and their wings are moving.
So the Trail of 100 Giants, as you see, is paved, and it's accessible to all. It's a very popular place for people to bring their children with strollers, people with walkers. We get a lot of older people here that bring their walkers. We get people that come here in wheelchairs. This is a wonderful trail for anybody, for any level. The trail itself is 1.3 miles, and it's a very nice loop stroll through a giant sequoia grove. Along the way, there's different self-serve spots that you can find out information about the trail. And on most weekends, we have volunteers that come up and can give guided tours.
Hi, Ranger Rick again, and I'm here with Ann. We're employees of the Sequoia National Forest, and we're here today in the giant Sequoia National Monument in the Redwood Meadow Campground, which is one of the few places on Earth where you can actually camp in a giant sequoia grove. Now the Forest Service has several different types of campgrounds. This particular one is a self-service campground where you don't make reservations. It's first come, first served. As you can see, it's a beautiful spot with the meadow behind me. Ann's going to talk a little bit more about the whole campground process.
So many of our campgrounds are available online at recreation.gov, or you can call any of our offices and they can give you information about camping. We recommend that you come out and camp in the forest. It's a great way to take time and to enjoy your national forests and your public land. We have several different campgrounds on the Sequoia National Forest depending on what you're looking for. We've got ones that border the lake, we've got ones that are in aspen groves, and this one in particular is in a sequoia grove. So we highly encourage you to come out, stay a couple nights, and see all of the wonderful things that we have to offer you on your federal land.